Welcome to the Line Life Podcast. I'm Jeff Postlethwaite, Senior Editor of T&D World, and today we're bringing you more stories of the grit, courage, and inspirational teamwork that it takes to be a line worker.
Thank you for tuning in to the Line Life Podcast. My name is Amy Fishbach, and I'm the field editor for T&D World magazine and the host of the Line Life Podcast. Before we begin this episode, I wanted to ask you, our Line Life Podcast listeners, a favor. If you regularly listen to the Line Life Podcast but are not yet a follower, make sure you become an official part of our Line Life Podcast community by going to linelife.podbean.com and clicking on follow in the top right to be notified when our weekly episodes are available. Also, if you enjoy listening to the Line Life Podcast episodes, feel free to leave comments or share the episodes with others in the line trade. We feature interview-style episodes on the first and third Fridays of each month and narrated audio stories from T&D World's print magazine on the second and fourth Fridays of each month. Also, if you know of someone we should have as a guest on a future Line Life Podcast episode, you can email me at amyfishbach@gmail.com. Again, that's amyfishbach@gmail.com. I'd love to hear from you and help put you in the spotlight. Now, Line Life Podcast listeners, I invite you to share your stories with T&D World magazine. This magazine has been going for more than 75 years now, and one of my favorite parts about the magazine is that we share the success stories of utilities with one another, because oftentimes companies don't compete with one another, but they love to share best practices. And if you're facing challenges in the field, line workers, it's very possible that crews for another company might be facing exactly the same issues. So if you've worked on an interesting construction project and would like to work with me on a story, you can reach out to me at amyfishbach@gmail.com. I'll work with you to gather the information, prepare it for publication, and help you share it with our T&D World subscribers, and then also as an audio story on our Line Life Podcast platform. I look forward to hearing from you and helping you share your story in T&D World's print magazine and also on our Line Life Podcast. Now let's move on to today's episode, which talks about extreme transmission in tough terrain. For this episode of the Line Life Podcast, I'm narrating the article Dominion Powers Through Tough Terrain, which was the cover story of the February 2025 issue of T&D World. This article was written by Bobby Capehart and Matthew Vinson of Dominion Energy Incorporated, and it's narrated by me, Amy Fishbach. Dominion Powers Through Tough Terrain. The utility overcame numerous challenges while rebuilding its Mount Storm to Valley line in extreme mountainous terrain. The Mount Storm to Valley Line 550 acts as an energy superhighway traversing across 2 states and serving as a critical feed to Dominion Energy Incorporated's entire service territory, part of the original 500 kV electric transmission loop built in North America, spanning from West Virginia to Maryland and back to Virginia. The line was first built in 1965 with weathering steel guide towers. The line needed to be replaced due to age and corrosion. The rebuild project faced significant challenges, including difficult mountainous terrain, changing regulations, and complex engineering solutions, all of which were successfully addressed to ensure the line's reliability and performance for the future. Paving the way. The construction methods used to access and rebuild the Mount Storm to Valley line required in-depth analysis and consideration. This project was highly complex because of its location. Access was difficult due to extreme mountainous terrain, limited roads, and multiple stream crossings. In addition, the length of the project, 64.5 line miles or 103.8 kilometers, and over 115 road miles or 185.1 kilometers, made accessing the right-of-way a logistical challenge. Getting equipment, concrete, and materials to the construction sites was often a precarious and slow process due to the tight, circuitous forest roads. For example, Phase 3 of the project was located on U.S. Forest Service or USFS land. This phase contained 58.4 miles or 94 kilometers of roads to access 20 miles or 32.2 kilometers of transmission lines. Traveling throughout the project area took an incredible amount of time. Often, several miles of access roads would need to be traveled between structures with only one ingress and egress. This made road building incredibly complicated. Crews excavated 511,000 cubic yards or 390,688 cubic meters of native material out of the area and installed 561,000 tons of stone to construct stable, compacted roads and work paths. The sheer amount of earth that had to be moved accumulated in tens of thousands of trips up and down narrow mountain roads, creating vehicle congestion. The drive time from one structure to another could be over 45 minutes, and the time back to the material yard could be 2 hours. Several roads were barely wide enough for one truck, making it impossible to have multiple trucks traveling toward each other from opposite directions. To prevent accidents or trucks meeting on the one-way roads, the project team quickly recognized the need to organize these trips and create a communication plan. To mitigate this, the crew leaders installed mile marker signage and created a communication process on a dedicated radio channel to coordinate the flow of construction traffic. Engineering complexities. The road building crews had a steep challenge to construct roads to each line structure, as well as cut drilling pads, crane pads, and pole pads into mountain sides, all while staying within the permitted limits of disturbance. For example, a tensioner pad was approximately 100 foot wide by 200 foot long, or 30.5 meters by 61 meters, and had to be graded within 1% or 2% of being level. This level surface was necessary to operate the large tensioner equipment safely, as well as to have enough space to line up 18 reels of conductor and 4 reels of fiber. The forest roads on USFS property that Dominion Energy used in Phase 3 were overgrown and in poor shape. Many roads were extremely narrow and barely traversable in a pickup truck due to several decades of neglect. The Mount Storm project rebuilt these roads to a minimum of 14 foot or 4.3 meters wide. Several portions were built much wider to accommodate 240-ton multi-axle cranes and tractor-trailer traffic, which required a turning radius of 55 degrees. For phases 1, 2A, and 3, Dominion Energy installed a total 115 miles, 185 kilometers of road, moved over 500,000 yards of material, imported over 500,000 tons of stone, and installed 73 miles or 117.5 kilometers of erosion and sediment controls. For example, silt fence and silt sock, as well as approximately 1.2 miles or 1.9 kilometers of culvert pipe. The utility also installed 2 permanent bridges on private land, one of which was over 200 feet long over the South Fork of the Potomac River. Dominion Energy evaluated the existing 75-year-old low-water bridge crossing and determined it was not adequate for heavy equipment, requiring the solution of a new bridge. To allow construction traffic to cross existing fords, we installed 15 temporary low-water crossings on USFS property. These temporary bridges had to be specifically designed to meet the USFS stringent low-water crossing criteria, an effort that took 2 years to get approved by the Forest Service. Mount Storm's elevation posed ongoing challenges. During winter, severe weather, snow, ice, high winds, and fog limited construction activities near the substation. After roads and work paths were cut into the mountain slopes, another difficulty arose in constructing the towers, as there were few flat areas for staging and erecting the lattice members. As a result, most towers had to be assembled in much smaller segments and assembled in the air due to the lack of flat ground. Environmental mitigation. From an environmental standpoint, Dominion Energy had to evaluate more than 200 different animal species to determine whether their habitats would be impacted by the Mount Storm to Valley Line project. After extensive studies, the utility identified 4 species: the cow-knob salamander, long-eared bat, wood turtle, and brook trout as potentially affected. With significant time and effort, the habitats of these species were carefully mitigated to prevent any harm. There was not a single month of the year that was not encumbered by some time of year work restriction. Additionally, during the project, a bat cave was discovered within a right-of-way corridor. To ensure its protection, experts were brought in to monitor the cave and identify the species of bats residing there. Ground-penetrating radar was also used to determine the full size and location of the cave and ensure foundation installation would not compromise the habitat. Changing regulations. Gaining access to the structure sites was a constant challenge. The mountainous terrain in phases 1, 2A, and 3 was especially challenging for road building in the West Virginia Department of Environmental Protection and USFS portions of the project due to changing regulations. When revisions were made to the West Virginia Construction General Permit, CCP, in 2019, Dominion Energy had to totally revise its road plans in the state to be completely engineered with plan and profile, overhead and side views, and cross sections had to be included every 100 feet or 30.5 meters. The level of detail required was like that of a highway project. Additionally, the USFS enacted stringent standards for land disturbances and required all earthwork, including temporary work, to be placed in fully engineered plans and submitted for review. This made any necessary field revisions nearly impossible to implement in a timely fashion. Park communication. Public notification was another aspect of the Mount Storm to Valley Line project that required in-depth planning. The project had the potential to impact George Washington National Forest visitors. Partnering with USFS, Dominion Energy developed an app to keep park visitors informed on construction and road statuses. The site showed open roads with no construction, roads closed due to construction, and available detours. Dominion Energy promoted the app to local newspapers and ran digital ads on social media platforms. This comprehensive communication approach benefited park visitors by minimizing disruptions during active transmission line construction. Innovative tower design. The Mount Storm to Valley rebuild called for the replacement of over 260 structures in challenging, remote terrain, requiring the extensive road building plans mentioned above. 3/4 of the towers needed custom-designed leg extensions to ensure the foundations were within acceptable ranges. For example, structure 550/131 had the largest elevation change across a single tower, with a 30-foot or 9.1 meter difference between its first and third legs. The project required the creation of a new family of towers, specifically designed to replace the existing guide structures with self-supporting galvanized steel towers. The 5C lattice steel towers were built to withstand the region's intense weather conditions. The 5C towers, designed by Dominion Energy's Standards Department, featured a larger central window to improve climbing clearance for line workers. With half of the line's elevation over 2,000 feet or 610 meters, and some sections even reaching 3,000 feet or 914 meters, the towers were designed to meet extreme ice design criteria of 2-inch or 50.8 millimeter thick wires and towers. Galvanized steel was selected to prolong the lifespan of the structures. Thicker steel members and a large box footprint were used to create stout, self-supporting towers, minimizing maintenance needs and increasing resilience to any cascading line events. The new 5C light tangent, 5CLT, and 5C heavy tangent, 5CHT towers accounted for 80% of the new structures. For towers with large foundation reveals on side slopes, 2.5 foot or 0.76 meter leg extensions were used. The 5C extra heavy tangent or 5C XHT suspension V-strings were made from bundle 66K glass insulator bells to reliably handle over 3,000 feet or 914 meter weight spans, as they could very likely get covered in over 1 inch or 25.4 millimeters of ice. Custom fiber dead end and suspension assemblies were created for the mega spans by using yoke plates and insulators in parallel. The fiber itself was a dual-layer alumaweld with 36 fibers in the core and a maximum tension design of 47,155 pounds, or 21,389 kilograms. The new conductors and shield wires were designed to handle more extreme weather events, higher electrical loads, and improve ground clearances. These updates meet current industry standards for reliability and performance in the region's harsh weather conditions. Making modifications. In one area where a mountain slope made it impossible to construct a traditional wire pole pad at a dead-end tower, construction crews adapted their approach. They used Kellum's grips to pull 2 reels of wire together, stopping the wire grips precisely on an intermediate dead-end tower. This approach enabled the utility to avoid having to install an extra splice in the line. Crews work with vigilant care to successfully pull 2 reels, totaling approximately 18,000 feet or 5,486 meters of triple bundle 1351 ACSS TW HS 285 Martin wire across the mountains. Additionally, permitting delays required modifications to the original line design. Double dead-end towers were added or swapped to ensure stopping points were located outside the forest at both ends of Phase 3. At another one of these new stopping points was installed a direct embed guide 3-pole double dead-end structure. At each transition point from the new triple bundle wire to the existing 2 bundle wire, a trifurcator to bifurcator connection was used in the jumper loops. The project also faced significant elevation changes that impacted wire tension during installation. To address these challenges, offset clipping was frequently required to equalize tension in the wire poles. Phase 2 was the only phase that did not require calculating offset clipping reports. Careful coordination between engineering and field crews was essential to have the data for the temperature range in time for the wire sagging operations. Values from the charts were also used to verify the sag in the blocks before applying the offsets. Project success. Despite the sheer number of challenges, Dominion Energy's project team and crews successfully completed the Mount Storm to Valley rebuild by the scheduled energized date of December 2023. The project was a remarkable achievement in engineering, road building, permitting, and construction. It stands as a testament to the creativity, perseverance, and commitment to the quality displayed by the entire team. With this rebuild, Dominion Energy fully utilized the existing right-of-way, kept structures in the same general location as the existing structures, addressed long-term reliability needs, and improved durability without requiring excessive maintenance. Now here's a little bit about the authors. Bobby Capehart is a superintendent in the Electric Transmission Construction Group at Dominion Energy, Virginia. He's responsible for road building and other civil construction-related activities necessary to support transmission line construction projects. Additionally, his group is responsible for maintaining environmental compliance with all associated project permits. Bobby has been with Dominion since 2011 in various roles. Matthew Vinson is a consulting engineer at Dominion Energy, Virginia. He has been designing transmission lines for 12 years and has been involved in many complicated line projects over the years, from 115 kV temporary lines up to several 500 kV rebuilds. He recently completed his largest 500 kV rebuild and is now focused on greenfield 500 kV lines in the data center region of Virginia, as well as mentoring new engineers. Thank you so much for listening to the Line Life podcast. And if you know of a guest that we should have on a future Line Life podcast episode, please email me at amyfishbach@gmail.com or linelifepodcast@gmail.com. I look forward to hearing from you and putting your crews in the spotlight.
This episode of the Line Life podcast was written, recorded, and edited by Amy Fishbach. It was produced by Jeff Postlewaite. That's me. To listen to past episodes, visit www.tdworld.com/podcasts or find us at Podbean. You can also drop us a voice memo or message at linelifepodcast@gmail.com with your comments on this episode. We'd love to hear from you. Please follow this show on Podbean or your favorite podcasting app to be updated when new episodes are released. Thank you for listening.